1 2. This ain't a pool track or crew. This warehouse 15, but legends speak true.
We're not here to do anything else other than share our thoughts about how the world works, but more importantly, how we think the world works. And that's just the way it's going to be.
And that's what's important, the way we think it works.
In my world, how's everybody today?
I'm good. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. I'm good, though. How about you guys?
Can't complain. Mr. Moreno, what's up?
Man, I'm good. Like you said, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Feliz Año Nuevo. Everything is good. You guys' vacations were good? Families are good?
It was good. I went to Disneyland, which is the happiest and fattest place in the world. I had never seen more obesity. I just sat. I was curious. They said America is the most obese nation in the world. And there is no doubt that America is the fattest nation in the world. I saw more people. I saw a slice of America that most people don't see. Well, depending.
Did you eat one of the big turkey legs?
I did that for Thanksgiving a few years back, and I'm good with that. I go with the corn. They got the corn and the turkey legs, and I take a corn and I walk away. So I have a nice corn, but it's a great. We had a lot of fun. The kids always love it. They dig going, and we don't do a lot of stuff, so when we go, they really enjoy it. How about you guys? What did you guys do?
Just laid low. I went and visited my family for Christmas, hung out there for a few days, and came back. And I actually went to the beach for New Year's. We were down there for a couple of days, just woke up, walked around the beach, enjoyed some of the sun. So very low key, bringing in the New Year's, nothing crazy, nothing exciting.
And then I heard the wonderful country soon to be called New America, Mexico, had a visit from Coach Moreno. So how was that? How did you enjoy your last visit to the homeland before it becomes something else?
Listen, first of all, the Gulf of America is a beautiful sounding name. Now, listen, I go to Mexico, usually once a year. I try to go more with my family. I wish I could go more with time permitting and stuff, but this year we went right after Christmas. We spent the New Year there, and man, I have a great time, of course, with my family, but just the food, man. I eat so much good food. My family cooks extremely well, of course. Eating on the street and doing all that stuff, and I have a family that they enjoy cooking, they enjoy drinking. Well, not my mother and father-in-law, but some of the relatives. And I had a lot of interesting drinks, a lot of tequila, of course, an extraordinary amount of beer, and I've only been home for about a week, and I think I'm getting back to like a normal toxic level. So, but it was fun. I absolutely loved it and had a great time. If anyone ever gets a chance and you're in the Mexico City area, you have to go to Xochimilco. Xochimilco is this area where these boats go through all the rivers that used to be all part of Mexico City. And, they push you around. There's so many other these little raft boats, whatever they are. They bring food up to you. They bring music up to you. They sell things to you. You got to buy it and stuff, but it's really a cool environment. So yeah, Xochimilco.
Well, I mean, it's I love Mexico. Every time I go it's amazing food there and just amazing. I mean, at any of those parties, were there any rooms with baby oil? Just curious, but I'm sorry, couldn't help myself. But no, I waxed.
100% no.
Okay, good. But as you know, I told you this when we were talking. I tried my tortilla experiment. I bought this really high-end blue masa flour from this company, and they gave me a recipe. And I realized now that I cannot make tortillas. I can do a lot of things, but I'm going to keep trying because I tried to make homemade mozzarella. I love to cook and I do all this kind of stuff. And I kind of gave up on that because it's really a lot more difficult. But I don't understand how people can just knock those out one by one. Because I tried. I bought a press. I did it. I'm going to try again because I don't like to give up on stuff. But when I get my tortilla thing down, I'll invite you both over for tortillas.
I'm going to tell you something real fast about tortillas. Like
that better be some good tortillas. That's a long trip for me to California for a tortilla. It better be like A1 top notch, sir.
If I make it, it's good. I mean, I got the press over there, and now I just got to figure out how to make it work.
No, I was going to tell you something. Check this out. My daughter went to the store with somebody, and she's like, Papa, guess how much the tortillas cost? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, 2 pounds of tortillas were like $2, or I think it was $1. It was It was 20 pesos. It was $1. And I was like, what? Nah, you must have did the calculation wrong. And I asked my wife, and she's like, yeah. I'm like,
Oh my
unbelievable,
gosh.
man. Things are so expensive in this country. But
It would
anyway,
be cheaper for me to fly to Mexico and buy tortillas than it was for me to try to make these tortillas. By the time I bought the flour, the time, and then the frustration, because I don't like to give up. I made biryani once, which is an Indian rice, and the first time I made it, it turned into soup, and so I decided to start all over from scratch, which took another 3 hours. And now I have my biryani recipe down, which I think is a lot harder than making a tortilla, but apparently not. But anyway, enough of
so
that.
TJ, Uber Eats, brother. Uber Eats.
All
Dude,
day, make it easy.
I'm gonna say, I'm telling you now, I have never in my entire life done an Uber Eats. Never, never. Kids around us do
Never,
it all
not
the time.
once.
Not once. No, I
I
get
don't
in
think
a
I have
car.
either.
I go to a car. I get in a car and I go, and
What?
that's I go to Perez Eats. I go out and get my own thing, and I tip myself, so I'm good.
Actually, I'll tell you what. Speaking of that, that's probably one of my New Year's resolutions. To be honest with you, I think I'm in that generation that Uber eats too much. Like I like the convenience of just getting it to the house, especially on like a Friday night, Saturday night. You know, nobody wants to cook. It's super fast and quick. So if I got one, that's it. I'm not going to use Uber Eats this year.
Two things I want to talk about, like resolutions. But young, one day I have to invite you to Mexico and be with my family because I know you love cooking and you'd appreciate it a lot more. I appreciate eating it, but my wife is an amazing cook. TJ could tell you she's a really good cook, but she's the worst cook in her family. They're
Oh,
they all cook
That's hard to believe.
crazy.
But I believe it.
No, I
Oh,
didn't believe
Pepe's
that.
good too.
They laughed at me when I said, "Oh no, my wife cooks great." They were like, so
when
you would appreciate the way that they cook, the way they prepare. It's pretty
well, I know
unbelievable.
she's not home right now, because if she were home right now, there'd be a shoe flying at your head.
Nah, no, we joke about it. No, for me, she's an amazing cook, and TJ, you can attest to that too. But so
Well,
yeah, let's go there. New Year's resolution.
I'm a much better cook than my wife.
What's your resolution, Coach TJ? What's your
Uh,
resolution?
all jokes aside, other than the Uber Eats thing, I just get back to consistently working out. You know, after being retired, I got a couple little pudgy things
The
going on
cheat
here. I got to
goals
keep
that I
that
wanted
nice
to
and
achieve
tight.
last
Getting
year.
older,
So,
can't get.
um,
He's already calling people in America fat. He said
I don't
he's
hear
already calling
TJ
people in
anymore. You
America
guys hear
fat.
it, TJ?
I can hear me. Can you
Oh
not hear
no,
me?
what happened?
I can hear.
I think when I opened these things up, something weird happened. Let me
No, I
check.
got TJ.
Make sure you can. You guys
Yeah,
still hear me?
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hold on a
Yes.
second. Let me
Yes.
get
Yes. Yes.
back to hearing you. Oh, there you are. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, good. So I don't do resolutions, and the reason I don't do resolutions is every January I do goals, and so I had a couple of things I wanted to do last year that I accomplished. This year, I have a learning program that I'm trying to launch since last year, and I'm going to launch that this year. But I do have one particular goal relative to what we all do, and that is this year. It is my goal to wake up America. I'm going to wake America,
Ooh, I like it.
and I'm going to wake up Taekwondo practitioners in this country to a sad fact. And if I can't, then I'll be okay, because that means that the Disneyland that I walked around is truly America, even in Taekwondo. But I'm going to believe that the 4% of our country that we all know that practice martial arts and the 1% that do Taekwondo and become black belts are ready to wake up. They're ready to get woke. And I don't mean woke in the traditional sense of what everybody else is saying it, but woke in the sense I'm saying it. So that's my goal. What about you, Coach?
I like it. You know what? I mean, honestly, I'm like you. I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big gift giver on birthdays and holidays because I think that you just do it whenever you want to and when you should do it. And to me, it means more like that spontaneously, versus I have to do it because it's Valentine's Day. But, nevertheless, this year, actually, I said something to myself. I said, I want to be a little bit more tolerant and a little bit more forgiving. And because, as we get older, listen, I'm stuck in a lot of my beliefs and a lot of things that I live on as pillars in my life. But I understand that some people don't, and I don't need to change how I am, but maybe a little bit more tolerant and maybe a little bit more forgiving. And I use that word little because I mean a little because no, but it's true, just to be a little bit nicer and be a little bit more. I think I'm a happy dude. I think I'm a nice dude, but I know I could be more. So yeah, I think that's it.
What about you, TJ?
I said mine. I said I'm just trying to stay out here and not be fat like you call it, all the rest of the Americans at the beginning of this podcast. So just get back to a normal workout schedule. But I'm on the same boat. I don't think I've ever had a New Year's resolution that I started and was like, okay, I followed it through. And life changes, things go different ways. But I think overall this year, other than just working through the things that I normally work through, just focus on just getting back to complete health and
How about a group
fitness.
resolution? Like we said, let's grow this podcast. Let's grow the
Yeah, that's also a good
awareness.
one.
I think that's kind
I
of
like
a
that.
new endeavor.
I like that.
Absolutely. I've
I
had a
like
couple,
that.
I've had a bunch of people reach out to me and ask me when the next podcast was gonna be. I've had a lot of good feedback, so I'm super excited that people are actually watching and I get a couple in messages about what we said and all those things. That's why I encourage you guys, and I tell these guys, I encourage you guys to keep responding to the post, keep commenting, let us know what you feel and think according to what you feel and think. That's all it's
I
about.
want to get that guy on that said with all due respect and then went on to disrespect me and tell me.
Who?
I don't
forgot
remember
that.
who it was. He said something about me and like, oh, the podcast is great except for the Perez guy.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I'm like, oh, ouch.
yeah.
I mean, sorry, not sorry, but
But
You know.
ouch.
yeah, ouch. But not my nature. My entire life I've been okay with that. You gotta love yourself before you can love anybody else. And I love a lot of
But you know
people,
what?
and so
But I think that's okay. Like that, and we said at the first podcast, listen, take it personal. If you're gonna take it personal, take it personal. If you think that it's unwatchable because of Juan, or because of her, because of TJ,
don't
okay. I
watch
mean, everybody has their own opinion, but yeah, don't watch number one. But
and don't listen.
I think
Yeah,
that's what. Unfortunately, I think that's what we need to do. We need to push the buttons of people so that, like you said, they either wake up or they're encouraged to do something different, and not necessarily be. I think America. I mean, I hate to sound like nationalistic, but we're innovators, right? We always try to do things and we always try to push the envelope. And I feel like within our sport, let's just keep it in our sport. Everybody's in this little corridor and they're a bunch of sheep. They're a bunch of wimps. They're a bunch of,
yeah,
don't say nothing because it might upset the apple cart. You should be able to. What kind of man, what kind of woman are you? What kind of coach are you if you can't question? I'm not saying to be negative. I'm not saying to be an asshole, but come on, man. Like, be able to stand up for yourself like you do in your own house or your own school to the organization or to a referee or to whatever
yeah.
with certain decorum. So anyway,
Yeah,
let's
so
go.
I mean, and that puts us in a place like, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about, but like one of the things that, my resolution for this year is to see better leadership in the things that affect us directly. So we have some of the
Unfortunately,
the worst leadership in the history of sport. The worst. This is the only sport where you cannot perform as a coach, as a referee, as an athlete, as an organization, as a leader of an organization,
as a
and then
leader,
they rehire you for 4 years and increase your salary. Imagine the NFL. I can't remember what the worst team is in the NFL this year. They
the
fire those
Cowboys.
guys. A day later, they fire the guy. No, not here. The board of
Mid
directors
game at
of this,
halftime.
yeah, mid game. This organization, the guy cries a little bit and he's getting ready to go back on the boat to get over the pond back to where he came from. And he's like, I'm going to leave because you guys are mean to me. And they're like, oh, please don't leave. And by the way, here's more money to stay. Are you kidding me? Not a single male gold medal, not a single medal, not a man. It took arguably one of the most talented athletes I've seen in a long time and didn't perform because he was tick-tocking and wick-walking. And then you get this guy, him, and you hire him again for 4 years at an increased salary. I mean, bless baby Jesus. I like that job. You're in the NFL, you're in the NBA, you're in any other professional sport, or you're in the Olympic movement and you don't perform. They say, thanks for coming. By the way, here are your bags. Here's some parting gifts. Have a nice life and go to volleyball. I mean, go somewhere else. Just don't stay here. But our revolving door doesn't, apparently, the door does revolve. You get in and it turns around and shoots you back out. Now, who do you want to blame? Don't blame the board of directors. Let's start with that. I'm going to blame the board of directors. Next, here's where I want America to wake up. Wake up. Wake up, you second and third and fourth tier coaches and athletes who accept this and think this is okay because you have a seat at the table. Now, don't be mad at them because they're doing it and you're allowing them to do that. Now, everybody else in the movement, in the Olympic movement, wake up. You're not performing. Your coaches aren't performing. Your athletes aren't performing. Your administration's not performing. Your organization's not performing. Empty the sink flush the toilet. Get rid of them, move on, and get some people that can actually get you to perform. That's my New Year's resolution. And it's not just in the United States. WT, wake up. Get rid of the clown that's running your organization. By the way, it's going to be a wake up call for the kooky one as well, because look what they did in the United States. Just to check, just to be clear, I'm going to say it now. If your name's not Kim, Park, or Lee, well, actually, if it's one particular Lee, you don't get a seat at the table. You got to kiss the ring to get a seat at the table. It doesn't matter what you've done. So this
Young,
is prevalent.
young.
Do,
I mean,
do I
I
have
want
to
to talk about some competition.
do I have to stop the podcast now and erase the past? All right, all right.
Nah, come on.
He said
I mean, we're
erase
going to
the
talk about some
past.
tournaments, but something about that, like, because TJ, you've been on boards, you've been on athlete committees and stuff like that. I actually think that as it relates, you brought that topic up, Young, about the board. I believe in things are circular. Life, history kind of repeats itself, and now we have a board that's a majority of the board. It seems like aren't real martial art people. They're not Taekwondo people. Some of them are sport people, but they don't really know what's going on other than what's being told to them. So I don't know that they're doing a good job. I don't know. I don't believe so. And I know those guys are volunteers. I know they just kind of supervise. But sometimes after a certain amount of years, maybe at the beginning that was good because it got people away from I'm so entrenched and I want to help TJ, I want to help Herb, I want to help so and so. But so you get these independent thinkers, independent people. But now we've gone through so many cycles that these people don't really know what's going on, and they're hiring and firing people maybe without not a real understanding of what's going on, within the organization. But I don't know. It might be time to get more sports-specific people on the board. Because I think the way our board is composed.
One of the problems of getting public and non-sport people on boards, the independent directors, is they have one goal. They want to serve on an NGB board in hopes of getting on the U.S. Olympic Committee board. So they all serve. And when I hired, because I was the guy who hired the first independent directors, the USOC asked me to vet these guys. So when we made that changeover from the last revolt, and we got rid of everybody that was bad, they said, can you help us pick the independent directors? So I was the committee and I vetted all those guys. And the one thing that was perfectly clear, the independent directors from back then were the rejects that tried to get on every other board and couldn't get in. So we had this horrible group of people that we could get. When I was on the board, when you were a coach, we hired great independent directors. And one of that, and this guy was a brilliant mind, great business person. And I begged him to be on the board of directors so that we could solve some of the problems. He came in and then he functioned there for a while. And then that organization was dysfunctional. So it's hard to get good people because in a large part, the organization is dysfunctional. And if you want nothing more than dysfunction manifested, look at the current numbers in the organization. No medals, no medal performances. Second, membership is down. Third, revenue is down. Fourth, they went back into the hopper and picked up the most ridiculous non-performing people and put them in positions of power. And then they had to get rid of people who violated the rules. So if you want an organization that's dysfunctional, you have to start with the board members that can make change. And be frank, right now, I don't even know who's on the board anymore. I don't really, it's not my problem to fix, but I guess the question becomes, you're in the sport. People that are in the sport, people that are paying those dues, whatever those dues are. And I'm a lifetime member.
I bet you they don't know who those people are. I bet you those people don't know who they are.
But then they got to fix their problem. It's a sport team. You have diehard fans here. There's a fan here. Last thing, there's a fan here for the what's that team? The Oakland Raiders, right? Oh, diehard fans. They moved to L.A. or Las Vegas or whatever. They all went with them. That's Cowboy fans, whatever. These guys follow the teams in hopes and days of one day they're actually going to win and do something. And I get that's fandom. But as a member of USA Taekwondo, you're not a fan. You're a client. That's it. But anyway, let's move on.
I think one second. I think the problem is what we're comparing it to. And I think most people don't know their history of like actual results of the U.S. and the number of times we've gotten medals at the Olympic Games and how we performed in these big competitions. Because I remember, I'm going to say back, when we qualified for the 2024 spot, I saw someone post something about like, oh, this is it's so great. We've qualified 4 people. And it's like, that's been the standard, my guy. Like to qualify for, that's not the goal. Like that's the part that ticks me off a little bit. It's like, what are we comparing this to? What are we seeing as an overall result of all this? Like we get Olympic medals. Like I've come from a generation that, I mean, I was following Olympic silver medalists at the Olympic Games, and I went there and we joked about it last episode. I got bronze. Our goal was to go get gold medals. There was no not get a medal. There was no not performance. There was not podium. We were there to perform because that's what we've always done historically, whether it be 2 medals, 3 medals, 1 medal, whatever the case may be. Getting Olympic medals has always been the standard. Winning the Pan Am Games medals have always been the standard. I think people forget that. So when something happens in these days, we go, oh, this is so amazing. But like, that's the standard. That's where we start. That's the beginning, and that's where I think people get like I said, get it all lost in translation. Is right there. Like
Yeah.
when you go, oh, something happened that was great, but it's really not that great. This is supposed to happen. We're supposed to do this.
You said it, and this is where you have to start, right? In other words, and soccer is a great example. My son does soccer these days, and you guys know I'm always talking about it and whatever else. We had soccer coaches when he was young that would say, "Oh, if you're not in an academy by the time you're 12, if you're not in England, you're never going to make a professional team." And I'm like, "You're right. Absolutely right. If you keep telling them that and they keep believing that, and if that's their standard and that's their level, that's what they're going to believe." So in the United States, if you're on what I call the warm-up tour, you try to get on the team to get a warm-up you can take home and show everybody. And that's your takeaway from the games. Your takeaway from the game is supposed to be a medal. If it's not a medal, you didn't perform. That's kind of the way it works. But if you enculturate your people and you say, our goal is to get to the games, just to qualify. That's our goal. Yeah, that's your goal. You achieved your goal. You qualified. Now, that's what your expectation. That's what you thought. There was a time when we thought we couldn't beat Korea because people told us you couldn't beat Korea. And if you accept that, guess what? You don't beat Korea. So you've got to raise your standards. And I'm going to tell you, the soccer thing is interesting because I don't start from there. Any coach that says that to me, I find a new coach. My son, your daughter, whatever, they deserve to believe and try to become a world-class player, whether it's taekwondo, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, whatever it is. And if you're not starting there, you're limiting them.
TJ, what you're saying is, though, people in this era right now think that what we're doing is good. And because people are telling them it was good. And you're saying, wait. Go back to 16, we qualified 4 people. Go back to 12, we qualified 4 people. Go back to 8, we qualified 4 people. That's the standard. And the standard should have been getting multiple medals, right? 2 and 3 and 4 medals. And that's where we should be going. Not that we have to say, oh, this was a horrible Olympic Games. But we can't say it was a great Olympic Games, right? But that's what people are hearing. And I know we need to motivate them, but I guess there has to be a little bit of reality check because our standards should be here and our results should be even with that, if not surpass it, and not below that. And I think the bar has dropped a little bit too low.
Maybe it was what they were told. Maybe it was what they were told when they first got here. I remember there's an interview floating around somewhere on YouTube where it's like, oh, we want to come here and make sure that and this one bothered me. I remember we're going to come here and make sure that we don't just want people to make the national team, we want people to go get medals. And I don't know where they got that from. I don't know who told who that, and that became a thing. But now, I mean, if I'm speaking very frankly, now we're in an era where it's like, you are successful once you make it to the academy. Now you're good. Now you've hit the cream of the crop, and that's not the case. You know what I mean? That's not where it goes. That's not the standard. And like I said, going back to what you said, our standards have always been high. The results have always been what we wanted, and we're not there yet. We're not doing anything spectacular, out of the ordinary, extraordinary. You know, it's great for the athletes who went and performed and got a medal. That's the goal, right? But the reality is we're not performing at the highest levels, and that's just point blank and simple.
What's USA basketball's expectations? Is
gold medal?
Right? I mean, come on. That's it. They're not starting at, oh, let's hope we qualify. USA men's soccer, they hope they qualify. They haven't cracked the code yet on how to get there, but that's a different story. There was a point in cross-country skiing, and I was on the board of directors when this came up, and I've told this story before, but I'll keep it short. The director of USA skiing said, cross-country skiers can never medal. I looked at him, and I go, you're telling me, are we physically different than the other people in the world? Are we incapable of the knowledge? We can't learn how to ski? And he says, no, they can't qualify. I go,
Damn.
okay. I said, so you're telling me if I gave you $10 million in 4 years, you couldn't get a person on the medal stand? No. Then we need to do director. I'm like, you could give me $10 million and I don't know the sport. And with $8 million that I keep, the other $2 million I'd spend, we get a medal. We get a guy on the medal performance stand. I said, and if you don't believe that, then look at skeleton. Skeleton historically, which is luge upside down, you face first, right? If you're not crazy enough, they didn't get medals. So I'm like, dude, after the Olympics, 92, I'm going to the Winter Olympics and I'm entering skeleton because in the entire country, there are only 10 people doing skeleton. So that means I'm already in the top 10, right? So I'm like, I want to go to the Winter Olympics. I want to get some warm-ups. I don't care if I win. Well, lo and behold, that year, famous guy Sullivan came from a long history of skeleton guys, won an Olympic medal, won an Olympic gold medal. So yes, it's possible if you dream the dream. If you don't try, yeah, of course, you relegate yourself to the successes that you believe you're capable of. That's it.
All right, let's get into some competitions. Got a couple of things coming up. We have
All right.
USA team trials. You have the Canadian Open. You have the US Open. All kind of, heck, within a month, right, TJ? Within a month, you got
back to back competitions.
Yeah.
I think even
So
Canada has their selection right before the actual Canadian Open event, so it's a lot going on in the next 3-4 weeks. So it's pretty. Team trial is always exciting for me. You know what I mean? I like when everybody shows up and they're fighting for one spot, and on that day we can visually see who wants it a little bit more than other people. Obviously, I got some guys in the mix. I'm always super excited. I used to be super excited to fight. I'm always super excited to coach there. So looking forward to that event just from that standpoint.
That's next week in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, next week, Portland, Oregon. Yeah. Friday, so, I think we're doing Olympic weights, and then the second place person of the Olympic weights gets to fight the off Olympic weights on that Sunday, which is a little bit strange, but it is what it is.
What's that? What do you mean? Oh yeah,
that thing. I don't know.
And you have any divisions that you're looking at that are going to be kind of hot? I mean, I think we have a couple categories where people could have some really interesting matches.
Yeah, I think 74. I mean, if we're just talking I think 74 went from being it's kind of like packed. I think there's like 12, 13, 14 people in there, something like that. So it'll definitely be interesting competition to see all those different guys match up. I would love to see two things. I would love to see it be a little like, for instance, I'm not sure if we're doing a random weigh-in. Let's start there. I think I know they touched on some points about, our guys not making weight at the Pan Am Championship, and that's why they did all this weight shifting stuff. But like, I don't know.
That's ridiculous. Stop that. I don't even want to hear shit about not making weight if you're a senior level. That's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
How does somebody not make weight?
I have no idea. It's ridiculous.
Never have I ever not made weight. I don't know.
It's the price of entry. Like. It's the price of entry. You got a job, right? You show up at your job. You're a plumber. You don't have a wrench. You know what I mean? You're a surgeon. You don't bring a scalpel. You get fired. You don't show up. We've been on teams. I've watched Coach Moreno when he was in Pan Am games in Cuba. He's training, and Big Wally is eating a bag of potato chips, and Moreno had enough sense of presence not to get crazy and just keep his training. And while Wally's going, "You hungry?
Yeah.
You hungry?" And it's like, of course I'm hungry. He didn't run to the bag of potato chips. We had a particular athlete, I won't mention her name, who didn't make weight. I came back and I was like, she should be fined and fired and never make another U.S. team in her life. She can't make weight. You can't make weight.
But for the topic of team trials, I mean, that's more the reason you should have a random weigh-in, TJ. If they're doing this,
let me quote, because maybe they have on the schedule I've seen. I didn't see random, so let me say that before everyone starts comment, tell me I'm wrong. But like, I didn't see it on the last list that was posted on the schedule. So
they should be. What I'm saying is, if it's part of the international format, then it should be the part of the domestic qualifications, because it gives you one more security blanket of saying, listen, they made the weight and then they made the random weigh-in. We project that they should be able to make their weight at the Pan Am or Worlds or wherever they go. So I think that's that. I'm a little, I don't know what's the word I'm going to say, concerned, because I think they have a couple different formats. They have a round robin format if it's less than this. They have a single elimination format if it's this. It's not a random draw. It's a ranking draw. But, you have a domestic point system that's maybe higher than a national team person. it's a little confusing, and I'm not sure it's a good,
I think we should
clear
have scrapped
representation.
I think we should have scrapped the whole like. I think the first person on the list is like top 20 ranking, or the person that's ranked on the Olympic list is the number one person in the division. With the because the whole thing started with the point reset, right? I don't think if we're going with this whole idea of the point reset, why am I? These guys got 17 points, 16 points, 9.6 points. Why does that matter right now? It's so irrelevant that I don't think that should be a protection point or some reason that you're sitting away from everybody else. Let these kids go prove it. Let them go earn it. Don't hide anyone or shield anyone, especially when we're talking about the beginning of a quad. Let's let it happen. Let's see what's going on, as opposed to trying
Listen,
to negate and change all these things.
I don't even
What?
like the fact that they let people, and we talked about this last time, so I won't go there. But like now you have, for example, I know for specifically for you, 74, they've got 14 people, and 68's got 3. Like that's and only because these 68s were allowed to move up, whether they couldn't make the weight, whether they thought they had a better chance. Just I don't know that's
Well,
that's
ask
correct.
yourself.
Is that good for the pipeline, TJ?
But
Is
that's
that
what
good for the pipeline?
ask the question. What's the purpose of a team trial selection process? And that we wrestled with this all the way back when we were doing the same thing. And you said, how do you yield the best athlete in that division? And we started by, the original idea behind the teams trials was originally it was national champion. You won the national championships. You fought the dragon. You won. You came. Well, we realized the guy might get injured, not have his best day. It was about injury, right? Okay. Then we had the multi-day team trial. You went through a team trial, went to nationals, and then you fought again. Then we had the multi-day plus top 2. You went, all 6 of you fought round robin, top 2, had to beat number 1 twice. This way you're sure to get
12
the
for
best.
lightweight.
Well, now it went to, if you feel like moving up, you can move up, even if you don't have a record, right? Because of the reality that there are different weight divisions. Well, that's a fundamental problem between WT itself and the Olympic movement. You're going to have 4 divisions, fight 4 divisions. If it's not a good format, then why are you doing it at the Olympics? It's either fairer for there to be 8 weight divisions than it is for there to be 4, or you tool everybody in the world for 4. Why are you creating this artificial distinction to get more players and more weight divisions in the world championships and other events, yet the Olympic format's 4? It doesn't make any sense.
So you would say not to fight any world divisions? You would say no world divisions, just focus on Olympic divisions?
I'd say if you either fix the Olympic divisions, 8, or fix the world divisions to 4. Because the reality is you're trying to yield the best athlete. And if it's unfair, just to be clear, if it's unfair for an athlete to compete, you could easily do it, by the way. You could have 8 divisions at the Olympics, which would need more medals, less athletes, because it's always about the athlete cap. So if the athlete cap is 10,005, which is what they're trying to keep, then it's 10,005. You have 8 divisions instead of having the top X amount of people. You do it like a World Cup. You have the top 8 or the top 16. That's it. But then you have 8 divisions and it's fair. Is it really fair for a guy who's 110 to have to move up to 100 and whatever? Maybe,
TJ,
maybe
let
not.
me ask you this, because I listen. So the Olympic Games right now, you're right. It's about a number. They can only have a certain amount of athletes. They combined into 4. So basically, there's 16 athletes in every category. So that's 4 fights. And then if you have, even if you have you lose someone there, you might have 3 fights to get a medal. But you could do that. It would be like, think about 8 athletes. You have 3 fights to the finals, 3 fights to the gold medal. And maybe if you lose someone there, you have an extra fight. You have a 4th fight for the repechage. I mean, think about most of the Olympic Games, the first rounds with the number 1 seeds, they're pretty much walking through that number 16 seed anyway. So you could actually, I don't like having 8 people, but the quality would be way more in that category, and you'd give more people. You give a 54 guy a chance instead of fighting 58. You give a 63 guy a chance instead of 60. But that's not.
I got a question real quick, because I think I miss the days of like, and again, a little bit before, I miss the days of show up and you get thrown into a bracket. I know you were talking last episode, you were talking about like, pruning of the trees and changing of the brackets, and maybe that's where it all started. But like, I miss the days being a number 1 ranked person doesn't mean you should get a free first fight. I would throw everybody into the bracket like they used to and to see where you fall. And it is what it is. You either got a good bracket or I miss it as a good bracket and a bad bracket. That's it. And you call it good, you call it bad, you call it what you want. You call it tougher or easier. But those were, we talk about the unexpected and the unknown, the things that you had to show up for. I was one of the unlucky people. I show up and I'm definitely gonna fight Korea first or second. Like that's all day. I had to get through Korea to prove myself to beat everybody else, and that's okay. That's okay. But like you're saying, I think that 1 in 16 even, and like we talk about a lot, coaches, the wild cards for Olympic Games. I'm not a fan of wild cards for Olympic Games. That's
Indeed,
What's
they're
crazy.
not
that?
even
For me, that's
close.
What
crazy.
what sense does it make to give a wild card to I don't want to say Afghanistan or whatever the country was. I saw a wild
Fiji.
card where Lopez fought some wild card guy. So the poor wild card guy gets in there and he's got to fight Lopez, who at that point was the best guy in the world.
I think that
And
was Iraq back in the day.
was it? Yeah, and he beat him like a redheaded stepchild, and as he should, because this is the Olympic Games. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to win a
Yeah.
medal. So
Yeah, that's
I don't
stupid.
think you serve if you want to help developing countries. And I'm a bootstrap kind of guy. I don't mind bootstrapping people. Well, bootstrap them at the local games, at the Pan Am games, at the
Not the
Asian
Olympic Games.
Championships, not the Olympic Games.
They don't
Olympic
do that in
Games,
swimming and boxing, and
no.
come on,
They
you're gonna
have
put a
They had a swimmer that qualified that came in like 2 hours later or something. I can't remember. It was like they had one
yeah.
instance of that. But
I
you're right.
remember.
Either it's
Feel the
either.
rhythm, feel the vibe. Get on up. It's bobsled time. That's
Oh my
that's
God!
basically what we're
Cool.
doing, right?
What is this? Cool Runnings. So but listen. You said something which is really poignant, right? If you're a champion and you're a true champion and you're a gold medalist, you don't care who you got to beat Korea first round or second round or in the final, right? I unfortunately got Korea always in the semi or in the finals, which was good for me. I'd rather fight him in the semi and the final because then you can't prune my tree, right? So that's kind of the reality of it all. But if I got Korea first round, great. I'd love to have Korea first round. I'd like to fight him when I'm fresh and not tired or injured, right? So it's a different mentality. But anyway,
Speaking of that, TJ, I mean, Herb, I'm not sure if you know how many people are going to the trials, but like any matches that you're kind of like anticipating that could be good, like heads up.
I mean, 68 is going to be interesting because there's only three of
Yeah.
them in 68. You got two pretty good guys. I don't know who the third guy is, unfortunately. I mean, I don't really know. But I think 68 will be interesting. I see a couple of people moved up in divisions because you had direct qualifications in 67. So you'll have the Olympic gold medals. Anastasia will fight in 73, which is kind of interesting. I don't think it's the most worst thing, but it'll be interesting. But mostly 60. I'm excited for 60. I'm always excited for 68. That's my division, so I'm excited for that.
Liz, I think 57 will be good just because, Faith is our Olympic
Yeah.
our Olympic athlete and she's very, very good, but she's had a kind of a tough time from time to time with Caitlin out of California. I mean, they just, for some reason, they match up interestingly and they go back and forth. So I don't think that's an easy matchup for our Olympic athlete. And then I think in 68, like you said, listen, Kafani is the Pan Am Games gold medalist and he's a national team member. He's a Grand Prix medalist. I mean, he's obviously one of the most talented athletes that this country has seen in a long time. And then, you got the young kid, Michael Rodriguez, and he's been on a tear. I mean, on the Pan American level and went over to Europe and fought some pretty big names that have had some really good results. And he was able to deal with them and handle them and win. So it's going to be an interesting matchup there.
Don't get me started. I like it. I love it. I like it. I love it. I mean, it puts me back in the days when I had to go try to, beat the giant per se. And I know we're not the same two people, but just like that's what it's all about. That's what getting out of the US was about. Going back to my original point, you had to beat the giant to leave the country. You weren't worried about nobody else because the person in your country was just as viable and just as strong and just as good as anyone else you're going to face in the world. So when you did leave, you had a certain level of confidence about yourself that, you know what, now it's time to go take on the world. So for me,
I
I'm
think
always
74 is
those
going to be a
moments.
good division too. 74
I'm,
is
there's a
there's
lot
a
of good names in 74, a lot of good talent in 74. So
and
I'm excited.
young
Yeah,
kids,
yeah, for sure, for
So
sure. But it'll be interesting because you're gonna mix one of those 68s will go into 74 on Sunday too.
yeah.
One of the three will go into the 68 on Sunday, 74 on Sunday, which
Which
is
honestly, I don't even like that. I mean, those guys made the decision to leave the
no.
68. Why let somebody go up? Just let those 74 people fight, and these 68 guys get out of the way. You got second.
There's
You're
something
done.
about talent, something or another, talent like not eliminating talent. But dude, that's no one's job. That's not your job because you're taking whoever all the off division or the Olympic division, whoever gets second, you're allowing them a second chance to go fight someone. Maybe this is a true 74. Maybe it's a true 53. Maybe it's a true 70, whatever the case may be. And those are big medals at the World Championship because you could take a 68 or whatever. Let's use 68. You'll take a 68 and put him in 74. Maybe that's a change. Maybe that's not his style per se. Maybe he could be better than majority of 74s or have good matches against 74s in America. But that's not who, like, we're trying to win there, but we're trying to go there and win. And that's where it throws me off. It doesn't mix well for me at all. 0%.
Yeah.
And that's why,
I think it's a mistake. I mean, it's so easy to say we're only going to focus on the Olympic categories, 58, 68, 80, and a heavyweight. It seems like it's clear. But how could you deny a 54 and 63? Maybe a 54 can go get a lot of Olympic ranking points and take his shot at the 58s and maybe do something, or vice versa. 63, he's really good at 63. He can't make 58 all the time, and let him fight at the World Championships in 63. Maybe he does extremely well and he cuts down. I think it's wrong just to only focus on the Olympic categories. I mean, I get it in the big scheme. Those people I just mentioned would have to prove that they could fight in that 58, of course, but at the same time, to deny them and just kind of act like they're not as important. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's smart, because you never know who can go up and who can go down. You never know who's going to grow, especially those 54 people, 63 to 68. You never know. But I don't know. I think it's a little better situation that they are having a team trials, whether it's round robin, single elimination. I don't agree with all those different things, but I think it's at least it's a step in the right direction, because I was thinking about something really controversial. Talk about history, TJ, Young. I remember 2 cycles ago, 2020 Olympic Games, qualifications. Me and Herb are in the same division. I beat Herb head to head the last 4 times. I'm on the national team. You're not. I have a higher ranking than you. I have beat the people that you lost to, and I wasn't selected. They took you. Like, transparency and favoritism, whatever. Like, literally, I checked all the boxes that I was supposed to. I beat you, higher ranked, more results, and I don't get to go and you get to go. So at least we're in this team trial phase again.
I don't think we're too far away from there. I mean, that was I think that you're talking about for the Olympic qualifications, correct? Yeah, I still don't agree with that. That makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, even if you looked at the brackets that day, you had one guy who was the second guy in that group that had a harder pathway to go qualify the division, and we took that path to go that way, and not chose the person that was higher ranked. That's crazy to me. I don't think I know we're past that point because we're going into team trials for this situation, but like all that stuff when you go into a room and people say, like, dude, I'm not a believer. I understand that, you have to deliberate between some things and that happens between divisions. But when you look at those two in the same division and you go, this is what this and this is what this, and you still come out the room and you make a different decision, it makes no sense to me. Like, you can't make that make sense to me. The bracket didn't make sense to me, But and not to say that athlete wasn't good. It just didn't make no sense for that tournament.
No.
And in that process,
I mean, listen, I didn't have a dog in the fight. I didn't have either one of them. I mean, one's from Texas, one's from Hawaii. I have nothing to do with them. But my point was, at least we're in the trials right now, and at least these guys can, they can match up, and we can see what happens, for better or worse. And this is a big year. You got a Grand Prix challenge in the United States.
I'm excited about that.
There's so many opens. The points reset. I mean, there's wild cards even for Pan Am Championships in the next year. There's a lot of things to fight for this year, other than this team trials and the World Championships. So
I agree, but it's gonna be exciting. I mean, it's gonna be like 3 weekends back to back, pretty much, right? Almost 3.
pretty much.
That between Canada and then U.S. Open, but I think it's a good start to the year, and then we'll just go from there and see how that flows. But excited, always excited. I love this.
What else, guys? What else is new?
What else is new? Master of Disaster, you got anything? Grandmaster Disaster.
Man. Well,
we put him to sleep.
No. I like it. I
Yeah,
just
right.
don't. I tried. Unlike a lot of people, they have a word for what I try not to do. This ultra crepidarian. So an ultra crepidarian is someone who
Let me
speaks with
Google that.
authority. Look it up. It's someone who speaks with authority on a subject of which they have no knowledge.
No idea.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
try not to speak on subjects like this because I'm not in the mix at the moment. Other than the philosophical way of trying to choose a team player to say whether it's good or bad. You guys are in the fire at the moment. You're still putting athletes on teams. You're still coaching athletes. Me, I'm looking at it from a different point of view. Is like, how do you really yield the best athletes? So on this particular topic, I try to be quiet just because I'm not involved at the level of intricacy and intimacy that you guys are, obviously. For me right now, the only other thing on my mind is, I woke up to a couple of days ago, surreal moment here in California where I thought it was just
Oh,
a meme. And I saw what's going on in the Hollywood, California area, Pasadena. And I have a lot of good friends down there. But this morning, when I opened up the New York Times, which I try to do every day, there was a video of a Taekwondo school that was in a very
oh,
nice shopping mall, and it showed before and after. So this poor individual, which I'm going to try to figure out who it is, had a Taekwondo school in a very affluent
Taekwondo.
part. Yep, and it showed a video of the Taekwondo school, and then it showed the entire center burned down. So this
Oh man.
horrific wildfire thing that's going on here down in Southern California, I'm up in Northern California, is just devastating. And this poor individual, I don't know who it is. I'm going to try to figure out who it is to at least reach out and say if there's anything that we can do as people, because that's really what Taekwondo should be
Yeah.
about. It's about helping our brothers and sisters. And I'm going to see if I can find it here. But it was really just terrible. And the wind's slow a little bit, but I don't see the video now, which is unfortunate. But
What's
yeah,
crazy about that is like I obviously in this moment it's not you can't be pointing fingers and things like that
no,
because it's just there's too much destruction, too much damage, but there's been a lot of talk, in the past about that area was actually just lucky that the winds didn't blow the right way, and there's people that were talking about this, and unfortunately there wasn't a whole lot they've done to help prevent it. I don't know if it could have, but it's just it's a little sad. And I read this morning that people had lost for some reason, like a lot of homes in that area lost their insurance.
oh yeah.
My dog barking at me.
If you live in a wildfire area or a flood zone, like in my community here, we have we live on the bay area, and in the bay here we have a lagoon and a levee system, and
Okay.
talk about the genius of America. Or I'm at this point an elected official, and I'm trying to convince people that we need to raise the levy because the government has told us we have to raise it. And if we don't raise it, they're going to charge us flood insurance, which they sell you, right? So $5,000 a year,
Which
right?
they
So,
sell you
which
just
they
so
sell
happen.
you. Yeah, just so happens. They break, they're a window company and they're throwing the rocks. So anyway, I would go around to these houses and try to explain to people, we got to raise the levy. And they're like, oh, and I go, okay, do you want to spend $5,000 a year or $200 for, to build a new levy? And so we won, we got 80% of the people, but these people that live, the constant encroachment of people into areas that used to be where animals lived, these wooded areas, because we need more housing. That's what happens. You get closer to these areas. And so when they do have a wildfire, which happened, by the way, that's just nature cleaning itself. Now you have that proximity. And when you get closer to it, you cause that, and people don't want to insure it because it's,
Yeah,
insurance agents,
risky.
they're in the business of making money,
Yeah,
and they don't want to, and if you want to pay for that insurance, so there are people that own their homes that probably didn't have that coverage, and that's
that's
unfortunate.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I pray for those people because it just looks horrific. I mean, same thing. I've been looking at my Instagram and Facebook, and
Yeah.
it doesn't even look real. It looks like a damn movie set. So, I feel for all those guys. I pray for them. So,
Well,
yeah,
well,
It's crazy.
Well, again, with our podcast isn't always funny and whatever else, and we do have, as you can see, we have good hearts, even though sometimes we joke about some of the other stuff. But in this very serious situation, all I can do is think about and hope and give my best wishes and assistance to my brothers and sisters down in that area, regardless of whether you're a Taekwondo person or not. So it's just going to continue until it stops burning. And, all we can hope is that it stops and we can get our best efforts to make it stop. But again, brothers and sisters and my good colleagues on this phone, this has been the Warehouse 15. We have a variety of topics that we talk about, and we look forward to next week where we'll pick up the new and the latest. We have anything we're going to pre-frame for next week, gentlemen?
No, I gotta keep the secret, man. We gotta give a
Oh,
little.
it's a secret. Even
It's
better.
not a secret.
Yeah,
All right.
secret, Dolly.
Surprise. Let's use surprise. Let's use
All right.
surprise.
Again, this has been a complete gold, silver, and bronze medal production, as I was reminded last week. And so
I changed my name for you. I changed my name for you. I don't want you to misquote me or call me TJ Jennings again. So
just so I want you to know, I named my school gold medal at one point, and there's a reason. I do have some bronze and silver medals. I can't find them, but I know that they're somewhere. And Moreno was around when I got most of them. So
behind one of those damn guitars.
Guitars, yeah. But you notice the color of the guitar. You don't see any silver guitars up there.
Oh man, damn, bro.
That's a gold guitar in the back up there. That's gold, baby. All right, gentlemen, we're out.
Later. Peace.
All right, actually, let me stop the recording. That's good. We stopped the recording. All right, we